Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our Tuesday talk today, and thank you, Aneta, for organizing it. Today, our topic is Sustainability Platform Brandenburg, so we are not going too far away, a regional network for sustainability. And it is my great pleasure to welcome Dr. Ira Matuschke, who will be our speaker. As usual, we will begin with a 30 minutes presentation from Ira. It will be followed by a approximately 30-minute discussion. Please feel free to use the chat or to raise your hand to ask your questions or to write your comments, and then we will try to address all your questions. Before we start, I would like to say a few words about Ira. Ira is the scientific coordinator of the Sustainability Platform Brandenburg since 2019. She is an agricultural economist, and before joining the IASS, she has a very impressive resume. She worked in the field of agricultural policy in numerous international organizations such as the FAO, the OECD in many different countries, the Food Policy Research Institute. And we are delighted to benefit from her expertise in understanding the sustainability challenges of Brandenburg, and how can we contribute to solving them through the platform. So Ira, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much for the kind introduction, and welcome to everyone. I'm going to, here's my presentation, and I'm going to start here. Can everyone see it? Yeah. Okay, great. Perfect. What I have planned about 20 minutes to talk more about my project, which is the Sustainability Platform Brandenburg, and to give you an insight of what we are doing and how we are doing it. So what I have planned is three main pillars. First of all, I would like to introduce the state of Brandenburg a little bit. I'm doing this because I was not sure who will be here, and also to put our work into context. I think it's easier to understand why the platform exists if I give you a bit more background on Brandenburg as a state. Then I will talk about what the platform is and how we work. So let me start with introducing the state of Brandenburg. Brandenburg is a relatively big state. It's the biggest state of the former Eastern states in Germany. And it is a state that is very sparsely populated. It has 2.5 million inhabitants, which makes 85 inhabitants per square kilometers. This will become important later. Brandenburg is also a very water abundant state. It's the most water abundant state in Germany, and it has about 3,000 lakes and many, many rivers. If you're looking at the structure of Brandenburg, it has 14 districts, which you can see here, and about four independent cities, which is Potsdam is one of them as the capital of Brandenburg, but also Brandenburg an der Havel, Cottbus, and Frankfurt-Oder. We have Dietmar Woidke as the Prime Minister. He comes from the Social Democratic Party and is leading the country since 2013. And if we are looking at Brandenburg's economy, we have a number of industries. Steel is important. Cars is important. There's a big Rolls-Royce factory, which is producing engines for airplanes, but also a Mercedes factory and a VW spare parts factory. We have coal, very important in the region of Lausitz. I will talk later about this. We have a big chemical industry with BASF. Logistics, Amazon, the postal office all have their logistics centers in Brandenburg. Energy, Brandenburg is a very big wind producing or wind turbine producing country, media, a number of films, like the film industry is big in Brandenburg and particularly in Potsdam, and also newspapers, etc., and tourism, of course. But what is important to know as well is that agriculture still plays a big role in Brandenburg. We have about 5,600 farm businesses and about 37,000 people being employed in agriculture. And these farm businesses, historically, because they come from the Eastern Germany, they're very big farm businesses. Brandenburg, like many other states in Germany, is facing a number of challenges. First one is reforming the agricultural, transport, and energy sector to become more sustainable, adapting to climate change. Even though Brandenburg is so water abundant, it has a lot of problems with its water supplies. We had a number of dry seasons last summer, the summer before, and agriculture has been suffering from that a lot. We had a lot of forest fires also because it has been so hot, and farmers and also others need to adapt to that climate change. Because Brandenburg is so sparsely populated, the challenge is also to promote these sparsely populated areas, which are characterized by an aging population. And with that comes a lot of problems, like the infrastructure for these villages, be it shopping places, be it doctors, for all of that the aging population needs, but also kindergartens, etc. Transforming the coal mining region of Lusatia. I think you've all heard about that. And also we have a team here at the IASS that is working at exactly this. And then also revitalizing the economy after the COVID-19 pandemic. And the Brandenburg government is very well aware that all these challenges need to be addressed in a way that it is sustainable to build for the future. And Brandenburg has introduced its first sustainability strategy in 2014, which is compared to Germany in the middle field. There has been some countries that have been before and some countries that came later as well. In the first sustainability strategy, they defined 5 key areas. One was economy and work in the Berlin-Brandenburg region, livable villages and cities, Brandenburg as a model region for energy transition and adaptation to climate change, future-oriented financial policies, and education and sustainable development. And what is interesting is that this first strategy also acknowledged that civil society organizations are a central element in successful sustainable development. And 5 years later, in 2019, this strategy was updated and adjusted to the SDGs. So now it's no longer 5 key areas, but every SDGs, and what Brandenburg plans to do with it is now in the new or updated sustainability strategy, so that it becomes comparable to the German sustainability strategy, but also to global. And in 2021, the Sustainability Council of Brandenburg was reintroduced and was appointed by the Prime Minister. Otwin is leading this Sustainability Council, and then there are 4 more. In total, there are 6 members of the Sustainability Council, 4 from science, 1 from an economic association, and 1 representative of the youth. And in 2024, at the end of this government period, the strategy will be updated again. It will be revamped and renewed to reflect the 2030 agenda and also the current situation in Brandenburg better. What is important to know is that the sustainability strategy had, until 2019, had been at the responsibility of the Ministry for Agriculture, the Environment and Climate Change. And it changed responsibility in 2019, and it is now with the Prime Minister's office that is coordinating the new sustainability strategy, which is expected in 2024. Which brings me to the next pillar. What is the Sustainability Platform Brandenburg? With the background you have heard, is that we are facing all these challenges, but in Brandenburg, there are many local and regional civil society initiatives that address part of these challenges that the state is facing in innovative ways. But you have seen that Brandenburg is so big and sparsely populated that these regions, sometimes they don't have the opportunity to actually connect with each other. To go from north to the south of Brandenburg takes about 4 hours drive or 6 hours with the train. So if I would be working in the north and you would be working in the south on the same issues and on sustainability issues, we would probably not know each other and know each other's work. And to address this and to make civil society really an important element of the sustainability work in the country, the Ministry of Agriculture initiated the platform in 2019 in January. And we have basically 3 main goals. The first one is that it provides an active network and communication forum to these initiatives, so that they can meet with each other, that they can exchange their ideas, that they can learn from each other. And once they meet and learn from each other, it gives them more power and impact because their issues get integrated, and it provides them the opportunity for joint problem solving and coordinated action. The initiatives meet regularly, I will come to that, and the platform listens to them and takes condenses their ideas and problems and challenges they are facing. And we communicate this effectively to the relevant stakeholders in politics, administration, the economy, science, society. And in this year, we have started to become more involved in the update of the sustainability strategy, and also in the climate plan that the government of Brandenburg is currently developing. And our task is basically to bring the experiences from the ground, from the regions, into the discussions of these strategies to make them really like hands-on strategies. And the platform is organized and moderated by the IASS. Ortwin is heading the platform, and I'm leading the secretariat. And by having Ortwin being the head of the Sustainability Council and the head of the Sustainability Platform Brandenburg, we have a very good personal connection between the 2 actors of sustainability in Brandenburg. So how do we work? We have different elements. The first one is a steering group of, we have at the moment 25 members that were appointed by us, and they set the themes of the platform. They set the themes of the meetings that we want to do, they set the yearly plan, and what they basically determine what the platform should work on, and they meet 4 times per year. And what I think is very interesting is that the steering group is so diverse. These 25 people, they come from civil society, they come from the Handwerkskammer, Industrie- und Handelskammer. I don't know how to say that in English. They come from the church, they come from environmental organizations. They come from the youth, Fridays for Future. So what we managed to do is, I think, a very good representation of Brandenburg society. We have municipalities in there that contribute to the work. What is also quite remarkable for me, at least, is that it's a very, very active group, and all of these people are working voluntarily for the steering group. So that means that the spirit they have, and these are people that really want to move things in Brandenburg sustainably. So the steering group meets about 4 times per year for about 3 hours. And then in 2020, we decided the steering group is not enough. We should be deepening our understanding of the themes, and we should have working groups as well. And then we formed 5 working groups, which I will introduce quickly. The first one is participation, where this group discusses what kind of participation do we need for example, for changing the sustainability strategy, but also what should be written in the sustainability strategy about participation. The second one is sustainability municipalities, nachhaltige Kommune, and this is a very popular working group. And because the municipalities in Brandenburg, they want to work or want to become more sustainable, but many of them don't know how to start and what to do about it. How can I get funding for it? Because at the moment in the sustainability work is voluntary work in communities. And we have, this group is led by 3 people, one from a civil society organization, one from a municipality, and one from an organization that looks at agricultural areas in Brandenburg. The third group is sustainability digitalization, and this is also a quite active group, and they are looking at questions like the COVID-19 pandemic has shown us how important digitalization is now, but the question is, how are we going to do it sustainability or sustainable here in Brandenburg? And also, again, with a focus on municipalities, how can the municipalities start doing a sustainable digitalization? The fourth group is starting right now. It's about the sustainable management of small and medium enterprises. Brandenburg has about 80%, I think, and maybe 70 to 80% of the companies in Brandenburg are actually small and medium enterprises with about 15 to 20 employees. And these companies, they need and they want to work sustainably, but also here they don't really know how to start. So this gives them a network and a working group to come together to talk about the issues that that basically move them. And the last one is a more broad one. It's called Conditions for Transformation to More Sustainability. And this group is led by Manfred Stock from PIC. And this group is looking at climate change adaptation, energy, like all the big topics. And this year in 2022, they will be looking at water in Brandenburg, because water issues will become will become more relevant for the state of Brandenburg. The steering group, as I said, is by invitation only. The working groups are open to everyone and they meet about every 6 weeks. There is, in every working group, there are about 10 to 15 people coming regularly, and then people coming irregularly, sometimes only to listen to one theme, or sometimes to just get a feeling whether this group is right for them or not. What we also have is we have physical meetings and also online meetings. The biggest physical meeting is the annual meeting of the platform. And the aim is to discuss current topics and to provide the initiatives in the country the opportunity to meet and to connect in person. We had one annual meeting with about 100 participants in Cottbus in 2019. 2020, we didn't have a meeting. And in 2021, we are planning a meeting in Großkreuz, which is about 20 minutes from Potsdam. And it will be in a Ausbildungscampus, I don't know how to say that, of the Handwerkskammer in Potsdam or Großkreuz. And then next to the annual meeting, we have more specific workshops to discuss specific topics. We will have one workshop on the 29th of October to discuss the water issue in Brandenburg with people from the ministry, with people from civil society initiatives. There are many civil societies initiatives around the lakes, for example, the Klimainitiative Schwilosee or the Initiative Sediner See, that will come together and discuss. And then we have also a workshop in January on sustainable digitalization, which we are planning to do together with the Prime Minister's office and the Office for Digitalization in Brandenburg. And then we also offer the opportunity, and these meetings will be open to everyone who's interested. And then we also offer the opportunity to connect online. We have a specific website, and we offer initiatives to become members, to be displayed here. This is our map of initiatives. We have about 150 at the moment. And if you are an initiative, for example, working on sustainable tourism, you can see who is working on sustainability issues in my region, or who is also working on sustainable tourism in Brandenburg. And then you can directly contact these initiatives and connect with them. And there's also an event calendar, which we think is a one-stop shop for sustainability events in Brandenburg. And then we have a news section that offers all members to share news from their initiatives and to reach a broader audience. So this is what we offer, the initiatives, and I must say that the demand is huge. I get a lot of phone calls from initiatives wanting to participate, having questions. So the IASS and also the Ministry of Agriculture has really, I think over the past years, we have been able to become an important sustainability actor here in Brandenburg with the things that we are doing and we are trying to push forward. Yeah, and I will leave it here. If you want to know more, you can contact me directly. You are, of course, welcome to attend our annual meeting and the workshops. They will all be in German. Yeah, you can also see on our website. And I will leave it here and stop.
Many thanks, Ira, for this great presentation. I think we all learned a lot about Brandenburg and about the platform. And we see how this, to look at what's happened in the region can be also very exciting. We don't need to go too far to talk about sustainability. I saw some questions in the chat, but maybe I will allow myself to ask the first question to you, Ira. Mm-hmm. So you talk about the problems facing the Brandenburg is facing and about the structure of the platform. It was very clear. Now I have two questions in one. How would you assess the success of the platform so far? I mean, it's quite new, 2019, but how would you assess the results so far? And could you share with us one or two outcomes or best practices or best experience that happen through the platform so far? Thank you.
I think the asking about the success is that we have about 150 members already who are more or less active, which is a success in my view. We have a lot of what I always think is a success is that, for example, I get a lot of invitations to talk in municipalities about the platform because there is big interest. They say, oh, we are very interested. We don't know how to do it. Can you come and talk to us? So I'm doing this quite a bit, traveling in the country and talking to the municipalities. And we have also managed to establish a good relationship with the Sustainability Council. Well, we hope to have influence on the sustainability strategy. And also the meetings and the working groups we have bring together a very diverse group of people. For example, I was sitting in the working group on digitalization, and we had someone from the Prime Minister's office and someone from the city of Eberswalde that are trying to introduce a digital strategy. And these people were talking to each other and saying, we have kind of the same problems. Let's talk after the meeting. And this is exactly what we are there to do. We're trying to connect these people to so that they can find their synergies and work for a more sustainable place. And the second one was, Solène, what was your second question?
Yeah, could you share with us some so far best outcomes, practices, or anecdotes you want to share with us through the platform.
Yeah, I think the first meeting in Cottbus, the first annual meeting, was a very good meeting where we brought together a lot of people, also talking about, of course, the special region of Lusatia and what to do there. That was, from my experience, a really good meeting. What I'm also always surprised is how creative the people are. In one of the municipalities in Barut-Mark, there is only one doctor available and he's 80 years old. And the municipality now decided, well, we're going to change that. And we, as they have civil, they've organized a civil initiative, or they formed an initiative, and they said, you know what, we will build a Gesundheitshaus, health house, and we will try to attract doctors there to solve the problem. And they have attracted 4 young doctors. They build a house themselves. They will build a yoga center there. So they make this a whole holistic thing. And there were other people, when she was telling about this in the working group, there were other people saying, oh, this sounds very interesting. I should take a look at this health center that you are building. So this is where we are bringing together initiatives from different areas in Brandenburg to talk with each other and to learn from each other and to change experiences. And what I think is also very, I give one more example about Werder Havel. Werder Havel is like Potsdam and other big cities have a Bürgerbudget, a citizens' budget that the citizens can decide about. Potsdam has that, and but Werder decided no longer to make it a citizens' budget, but a youth budget. So the youth are deciding now how to use this money. And for example, if the older or old people want to have a bench in the park, they have to ask the youth now whether this is something that they want to have. And there are other cities in the meeting saying, oh, this sounds interesting. Maybe we should have a youth budget or think about it as well. And this is how people connect and exchange ideas about.
Thank you. Now I will open the floor also to the other participants. And I see that Sebastian had a question and then Ilan. Sebastian first.
Thank you, Solène, and thanks, Ira, of course. So this seems to be a wonderful marketplace for people to meet and exchange, and that I find it fascinating, also the way you're describing that. But it also seems to me a very interesting source or arena for us as IASS to identify research topics and really local challenges. So thanks for the invitation for November to Großkreuz. I really will try to get there, just to listen with open ears. But I was just wondering whether you and Ortwin have also thought about this connection to what we do at IASS and to developing our research agenda like more systematically. Is there any way where you see your role or the role of this platform, or is it just the fact that IASS is coordinating this platform as a possibility for us to identify future research topics?
Shall I answer immediately? Yes, we thought, I mean, we are in the area of FOA, and our job as an area is to transfer knowledge in and out of IASS. So we have not done this systematically. We have invited, for example, Grisha Bayer's group to our working group on digitalization. I talked to the group of Johannes Stemmler about Lusatia. Solène and I are in contact, of course, because Solène is responsible for the Sustainability Council. And I have also talked to Daniel Oppold about Loslang, which is also about municipalities now. But doing this systematically and saying that this is what needs to be done is something that we haven't done yet. We will do this certainly because after the meeting on November 4th, we want to have an impulse paper where we say these are the topics that are relevant for the future, and this is what the government of Brandenburg also needs to do. And so this can feed back into the research agenda of IASS as well, I think.
Thank you. I have Ilan, then I have Armin, and Angela is asking if you could share the invitation for the, I think,
Sure.
4th of November.
Yeah, I will do that. I can do that.
So, yeah, thank you. Ilan.
So thank you very much, Ira. I mean, first, I learned a lot about Brandenburg, which I definitely didn't know. So that was very helpful to get a sense, but also very interesting project. What it sort of provoked, I mean, a little bit it follows also on Sebastian's questions about where does that leave us with research. And I wondered whether you had looked at all or had any sense of similar initiatives in other countries or even in other federal states, let's say, besides Brandenburg. That's first question. Second, that's or comment really following that I've been looking at exactly this kind of process in Japan. And there are a number of, this is partly with Norio Okada, who was a fellow here 2019, I think, 2019-20. And looking at some communities that he's worked with in rural Japan or in smaller cities. And very much, many of exactly the same problems come up, both long-term issues of declining population, loss of skill sets, whether physicians or agriculture in particular, on top of which they have every natural disaster you can name that happen on top of it. So there's short-term and long-term. But what isn't there in a larger scale is the kind of really sort of structural development of the state, or in their case of the prefectures. So I think, I mean, part of what I'm interested in is actually understanding the differences, which are both sort of structural, systemic, but also cultural, in comparing these. Maybe worth looking at further.
Yeah, about the whether there are some initiatives like this in other states, we did an overview, but only of the 16 states in Germany. About other countries, I really don't know. 2 of the 16 German states don't even have a sustainability strategy, so they don't have a sustainability council or any issues like that. And then there are 4 states which have similar initiatives, like the Brandenburg state, like the Sustainability Platform Brandenburg, which is Baden-Württemberg, where Ortin also used to be the head of the Sustainability Council, which is Bavaria and Thüringen. So there are some initiatives like this, and we are not unique in this sense, but there are many countries that don't really have involvement of civil society. And the other one was more of a suggestion, which I take note of.
Yeah, just something that maybe, I mean, I'm interested in, I'd be happy to discuss, to see where there may be some value in better understanding what are the affordances or hindrances in establishing this kind of a structure in different contexts. Thanks.
Thank you. Now we have Armin, please.
Yeah, thanks. And thanks, Ira, for sharing this information. It's really very interesting to see that. Now, my question to you is the following. What did you surprise most in this project? Positively or negatively? I don't mind. But what were the big surprises for you?
Hello, Armin. I haven't seen you in a long time. The big surprises for me is, I must say, my background, I come from this region. So this is where I grew up and where I know the people and I know how the people tick, so to say. The big surprise for me is that there are so many people engaged and want to move something forward in sustainability, that they're all doing this voluntarily, and that there's so much, like, of course, there are people who, die Unbeirrbaren, that you don't, but there are many, many people who work voluntarily and who really want to move things forward. That was a positive surprise for me, and I really like to work with them. And I get phone calls every day. Negative, not in the sense negative, and also not unexpected, but because we are on a chanier, I don't know how to say that, between the different actors, is that, for example, with the government, things work a bit slowlier than you would like, let's say, but it's not unexpected, you know. So, but also here, the willingness to move forward is very high, I would say. And I enjoy just working with the people from the region here.
Thank you. I saw Inga joined us and had a comment in the chat, and Sebastian has another question. Inga, do you want to say something, or was it just a comment for the chat?
Sorry, I just jumped into the comment about which Länder have what, and I was involved in this Hesse thing, so it was just a very quick, just a comment.
Okay, so Sebastian, you had another question.
Yeah, I would like to try to bridge the local level, Brandenburg, and the wonderful stories that you're sharing with the very global level of the SDGs. Because what I've been doing over the past years, working in a couple of countries on various sustainability issues, I was always trying to find out what's the value of having the SDG in the 2030 agenda. Particularly because we as IASS, we are referring a lot to them in our work. And I have to admit, in my work over the past years, I haven't found a very satisfying answer for that. What's really the value? What this very global framework can contribute to the local conversations there? What's the added value? So I'm still in the process of finding answers. So that would be my question to you. Now, you know both, right? You know the 2030 agenda and the SDGs and all discussion, but you are in conversations with so many people receiving these phone calls every day. So do you have any idea for me why we would need the SDGs, or don't we need them and sustainability is just being done on the local level and it's good like that?
I think that the SDGs give a very good framework, but they need to be broken down. They're broken down to the German level, and Brandenburg will break them down as well. So, for example, an SDG on oceans, you will not need in Brandenburg.
Not yet.
Not yet, yeah. But I was recently at a meeting in Barut-Mark, which is about an hour from Brandenburg, and they had a conference on the SDGs there. And they said that for them is a good... first of all, it's good to get finance, like for the projects that they have, if you have a framework like this. And this is important in every municipality to secure finance to work on sustainability, because it's not something that it's always voluntary. And for them to get a climate manager or sustainability manager, they need kind of a framework to work on. And it's also, I think, important for them because you can frame the discussions better. You can say, you can frame the discussions about sustainability in the municipality as well better if you say, we have these 17 goals, not talking about the sub goals. And then which one is relevant for us? What do we want to do to prioritize in the next couple of years? And I think that's something that is happening on the municipality level, and it will also happen on the state level and when we have the new sustainability strategy.
Okay, so you're saying this is happening. I mean, the idea, and I understand, but it's lacking the imagination that some mayor of some small of Großkreuz would say, hey guys, there are 17 SDGs. What does that mean for Großkreuz?
Of course, you don't have it in all municipalities, but for example, in the municipality of Barut-Mark, you have a very active mayor. It always depends on the mayor as well. Yeah. You have it in Wustermark, where you have people really interested and trying to start the discussion, and this gives them a frame. But of course, you don't have it in every. We have 400 municipalities in Brandenburg. You don't have it in every. But those that are interested use it as a frame to start the discussion.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
Okay, so I see the debate is very lively. So we have one short question from Angela. You mentioned 2 states that don't have a sustainability strategy yet. Which are they?
It's actually 3. I was just checking it. It's Berlin, Hamburg, and Mecklenburg-Vorpommern.
Okay. Okay, and then we have Armin again, and then Inge. So Armin, please go ahead.
Yeah, concerning the 17 SDGs, I think it's obvious that climate is an important issue on the community level, whereas oceans are not. But what about the other 15? So which ones of them are, say, more prominently dealt with on the local level and which are not?
The one related Arbeit, work, health is an important issue, agriculture in some areas. It's basically the areas that are important. Women and gender equality is not so important, but really it's work, it's infrastructure, health, water as well, water in the sense of lakes and these kind of things, not oceans. These are the themes that are moving the country basically.
Mm-hmm. I see, thank you.
Bildung as well, sorry, I forgot.
Yeah, of course. Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Inge.
Naja, agriculture, I would say, sustainable production and consumption, I would say. So, I mean, this kind of which ones are important. I always try to keep governments who start with such things away from that and try to get them to this more connected thinking. So you might have hubs or priorities, but don't say we work on SDG 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, and that's it for the next 5 years. But because it has to come from all sides, and that goes also back to Sebastian. In my experience from long ago, when this whole sustainable development strategies or überhaupt sustainable development as a guiding framework Rio conference came about, it took so long that the conversation all over again, and what is it actually? What is sustainable development? So, and whatever process you were, whatever new group then came, it always started again from the scratch. And that I find a super achievement of the SDGs. I mean, the fact that they are this framework and that they are there and that they are agreed, and that's just a reference point. So whoever grouping wants to get their head around sustainable development, they have a framework. It's really easy and cool, and it's clear that it is rough and global and universal, and that you have to translate it. But you have all kinds of tools also of doing that, and role models and what have you. So you can much better quick start. So it is only good.
Ira, you want to say something? Or?
I think it's as Inge said, it's a starting point, the framework. You can start discussion.
I see that Malte wrote a comment. Malte, do you want to say something, or was it just for the chat and for everybody? Okay, good. Then we have Ilan again.
Just a quick comment about the SDGs from, again, thinking about what I see going on in Japan, where it's quite a big deal. Everybody goes around with, many people go around with the SDG circular pin. It's in a way rather striking that it has become sort of such a popular or common symbol. But I think what a couple of people pointed out to me, that in the effort to, number one, politically to push for greater efforts around sustainability, whatever particular part of the SDGs or however you want to slice it, what has been important is that it has helped in getting funding from industry, and that many of the municipalities, the larger ones, I wouldn't say the very small ones, but where there is industry locally, have essentially waved this banner in front of them. And that, besides being, again, a good reference point strategically, it has been helpful in, I guess, because it becomes a larger social norm. It's a good thing. So industry is more willing to support it within that framework. Just a comparison point, a comment. Thanks.
Thank you. Are there further questions, comments? I would have one question.
I think
there are no. Sebastian.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, sorry, Sebastian.
It's fine. Ira, I have a very specific question related to the climate strategy, Klimaplan. You already mentioned that there was some kind of coordination, that you have that in mind, that the Klimaplan is currently in the development and there's this consultation process going on and all these things. Now I'm also starting to get involved in the climate plan discussion. So it would be interesting to know more specifically how you see that the Sustainability Platform is active there, and just what I should pay attention to when I'm contributing to that conversation.
The Klimaplan is in the hands of the Ministry of Agriculture, and our colleague Daniela Zetton is directly responsible for the development of the Klimaplan, and Daniela is also responsible for the Sustainability Platform Brandenburg. So this is where it comes, and we are planning to, I think at the moment they are having the Gutachten being written for the Klimaplan, which will be discussed in a broad public discussion. And we as a platform will also discuss it within our steering group in November, December, and to give the first comments on that. And then I think we will be involved whenever there is a next round with commenting on it and giving our opinion from the steering group.
Okay, will there be I'm just thinking, because I'm also involved in a group that probably will also comment on the Klimaplan. So it would be interesting to see whether the comments, they are just on the same page. Is there a way that we know in advance what's the current status of discussion of the sustainability platform, or should we do that?
If you want, you can participate in our steering group as a guest when we discuss that issue.
That would be very interesting and helpful.
No problem at all.
Okay, so we don't contradict each other.
Yeah, no problem at all. And we will certainly also publish an impulse paper or something like that, but you can be there from minute one basically and participate in the discussions.
Okay, cool.
Thank you. If there are further question, I would have a question about youth. I don't remember exactly if this is one of the working group in the Sustainability Platform. Is it?
We've been discussing that for a long time, because we were saying we should have education and youth in a working group. But the thing is, the working groups are led by the steering group members. And if there's no one who's taking the lead in leading this group and setting the themes, we will just not have a working group on that. So what we are doing at the moment, and education is also a big topic. So you need to have 2 or 3 members taking care of that if you want to do it right. And then we have youth now, which is part of the participation group. So they are discussing it, the issues of youth. We have the youth group in there, and also Fridays for Future, but it's not a separate working group.
Okay, and how well represented they are? How is it working? I mean, the inclusion or the integration of youth as a topic. I don't talk about education, but really youth, because this is, for example, one of the big issue in the Sustainability Council Brandenburg. We have one representative from the youth, but she feels that it's not well represented and the issues of the younger generation are not well addressed. So I was wondering in the platform how this is thematized.
Yeah, it's we have two of our steering group members come from, two of them come from youth groups, which is one member from the Jugendforum Nachhaltigkeit, Youth Forum Sustainability, and one from Fridays for Future. They are both in the steering groups, meaning setting the themes. And they are also part of the working group on participation. The working group is looking at the issue of youth as well, and that's how we involve have the topic at the moment.
Okay.
Silke Hansen, Sebastian, is our youth representative.
Yeah. Okay. Are there further questions, topics you want to add or comments? Because I see we still have 8 minutes.
I have sent the link for our meeting around if you want to register.
Yeah, thank you for that. I think I see no further comments. So I don't know if we can stop earlier if there are no further questions. Ilan, you want to say something?
I was just going to say thanks, and that I think there are a lot of good things to be thinking about, and I'd love to. The only reservation I have is that I don't think if I were to go to the meetings, I'm afraid my German is not good enough to participate very well. I mean, I can follow a bit, but I would be interested in following what develops and maybe having some conversations, because I'm actually very interested in seeing the comparison between different kinds of communities, not just Japan, Germany, or particular states in Germany, but also some of the discussion we're having now with Arizona, and particularly with the comparison between Lusatia and the Arizona community coal phase out. That IASS, that Ortwin and I, and Johannes Stemmler, and I think a couple of other people are involved in that. So thanks again very much. Good discussion.
Thanks.
Yeah, thank you very much from my side, Ira. Thank you to all of you who participated. I think it was a very interesting and a very good debate. So the topic of next week, Aneta, you can correct me, Salk's Institute Harnessing Plants Initiative with Martin Bünzel, if I say it correctly. So yeah, we hope you will join us next week, and thank you again for participating, and have a great rest of the day.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.